All right, welcome back. And today I wanted to start with just a quote or like I don't know if it's a quote or if it's a maxim or if it's what you would call it. But I saw it and I thought that it was really um, it was so simple, but it just kind of spoke to me. And it's look for things where you can find them. And I think there's so much value to that statement because I think a lot of struggle that you have in your life, or I have in my life, comes from trying to force things. So trying to basically believing that I can find things where I actually can't find them. And I think this is very it's very insightful. It's so simple that it's kind of, if you understand that principle or the idea that you can't force things, so you can't find something where it actually doesn't exist, it kind of helps you to accept things the way that they are. And that can be with with anything, but mostly I think with relationships. So whether it's relationship to your girlfriend or a relationship with your friends, like a really good example is friends that my dad said this about one of his friends. He has a friend that, and he's like, is one of his best friends, and they've been friends forever. So like for years and years and years, probably like 40 years or more than that. And he says something that he talks about him and his versus the way that his brother handles this friend. And his brother is like, why doesn't this friend text me back? Why doesn't it, like, I call him all the time. I call him all the time. And now I want him to call me back, but he doesn't call me back. And he never reaches out. He never does this. He never does this, blah, blah, blah. And my dad, not that my dad is extremely wise. Like my dad's brother is smarter than my dad in many ways. And my dad is smarter than his brother in many ways. So it's like, my dad is not a genius, but what my dad said that I think is genius is that he said that, well, that's just the way he is. Like, that's the way this friend is. Like, my dad is probably even better friends than his brother is with this friend. And he says that he's just figured out that that's the way, let's call him John. That's the way John is. He's just not going to text you back. He's not going to call you back. But if you like him, if you like hanging out with him, then you have to decide, do I want to make that effort? Do I want to be the one that texts him? Do I want to be the one that calls him? And when we do hang out, do I enjoy it enough for it to be worth spending that time? And I think there's such a valuable lesson in that, where you just kind of just accept that this is that person. Like, you can't, sometimes I think when you compare my dad and his brother, or my uncle, I should say, my dad and my uncle, and you compare them, you can see that my uncle is then trying to, really what he wants is he wants to change John. He wants John to be different. So he's really looking for things where he can't find them. He's looking for this person for John to match his effort, to call him back or to text him spontaneously or reply really quickly to text messages. He's looking for that from this person, and this person can't provide it. Like, it's just not the way that person is. And I think you can reduce a lot of like anxiety, a lot of stress in your life, and a lot of just unnecessary strain, where when you realize that, like, this is that person, you can't change the way that person is. You're just going to have to either accept that and accept what you have to do in order to make that work, or you decide that, well, that's not how I can't deal with a relationship like that. I can't deal with having a friend that never calls me. Like, I need more than that. And that's also fine. It's just that sometimes you want something too badly. Like, you want that person to be different too badly, and it just ends up hurting you because you keep having expectations on them that they will never be able to meet. And it will mean that you will just live your life sort of in constant disappointment, because you won't accept the fact that that's who they are and they won't change, and they probably can't change. I don't know. I got a lot out of that look for things where you can find them. I just felt like it's similar to the quote that I have in the app when a phone call loads. I got this like thing from Alan Watts, I think his name is, which is Wu Wei, I think it was, which is like, I think it's Chinese or Mandarin, some language, and it means the art of not forcing anything, or don't force things. And the whole point of that is that if you don't try to force other people to be things, and you just don't force yourself to be anything either, that's where you want to be. You want to be in that kind of balance where you are who you are, and you let people be who they are. And then if it's friendships or relationships or whatever you're doing in life, if you just accept that, like, what you see is what is, if that makes sense. Like, if this person, John, who doesn't text back, who doesn't call, who doesn't do these things, if you just realize that, like, this is that person, this is what I have here. Like, this is, if you kind of lose your own rose-colored glasses, because sometimes you have rose-colored glasses where you think that, well, if I just let them know that I want them to text me a little bit more, or I need this or I need that, if I just let them know and they understand it, then maybe they will actually start doing it. Maybe they will meet me in that. If you just realize that, like, no, they're actually like, this is what they are, and they might be able to change, but they have to want to do that. And if that change is a necessary factor of you being with that person, or being friends with them, being in a relationship with them, whatever it is, if that change is necessary for you to be there, then maybe it's not really worth it. Because then if that change is just something that, like, well, that would be nice. It would be nice if they texted me, but I don't really care. Like, that, if they want to work on that, then that would be great. That's sort of that's a better a thing, because then it's not that important to you. It doesn't really matter that much. And they might be able to meet you in that, because it just requires a little bit of change in them, but it's not something that you actually require of them. It's not something that you require to keep the friendship going. It's just something that, like, well, actually that would be nice, but doesn't really matter too much. Then, I don't know, you're just in a better place. Because I think a lot of times you just end up really hurting yourself by just not seeing what you have in front of you. And maybe I'm more like that, because I feel like I but I often try to look for those things in myself. Like, okay, maybe I should do more of this, do more of that. And so then it's very easy to also look for that in other people, similar to my uncle then. Like, maybe he does that with himself a lot, I don't know. But maybe then it's easy to kind of apply that pressure that you put on yourself to other people, where you feel like, well, I put an effort towards texting you. I put an effort towards calling you, and then you realize that they don't put in that effort, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I just feel like this is a quote that I need to really internalize and really get better at, because I'm very bad at this. I'm very bad at not seeing things for what they actually are, but like trying to change them or hoping that they could change, if that makes sense. Instead of just accepting like this is what it is. And I guess the hard thing that this quote doesn't really answer is the really hard thing of figuring out what can you live with and what can't you live with. What can I live with and what can I live without? Deep conversation starter here today, but I do feel like it was valuable for me, and these thoughts are things that I've been thinking about a lot lately. So I just hope that it might, even though I haven't learned, probably maybe me talking about this stuff can help someone else learn. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to get started with programming and actually trying to finish this app. So last time, this is where we got to. The online symbol now updates, but it updates only on the it's not a stream, if that makes sense. Like, as you see here, this icon is green. This should be turned gray when they're offline. But also, if the person pops online, like right this second, this should turn green straight away. I shouldn't have to update the page for it to turn green. So we need to make sure that we have that. Okay. So so let's see if we can get that to work. All right, so I don't know what is going on with Claude, but Claude seems to be very. It feels like the usage limit seems to just decrease every second or every day that I use it. Like today, I don't think I even got like 30 minutes of use out of it. And I feel like at the start, I got like 2 hours at least. But now I'm just done straight away. I am considering subscribing, but, or I was going to subscribe today, but the card that I tried to use didn't work. So not sure how to do that, but either way, I created a new account and just subscribed to the base plan and got that to work. But now we can see here, woman 20 is online. And if I just basically just swipe up on the screen here and remove the app, it straight away changes to be grayed out, which means that we now finally get real-time updates on this stuff. And that's very important. It's very important because if we don't have that, then how do we know when we can call people? So last video, I talked a little bit about the issue that I have, which is like, how do you, like, the talking to people, that's fine. That seems to work. And that's like the main part of the app, is just being able to be matched with strangers and talk to them and then like them or match with them, whatever. But the next step is like, what happens after you've matched with someone? Is it, and the things that I've been thinking about is, do we allow the users then to text, or do we just basically reduce the only way of interaction to be in this app is to call, to speak live to someone? That is where I don't really know how to deal with that, but I feel like I got a few pretty good comments on last week's video. I'm going to try to see if I can read one. So Sam BRD again, really appreciate your help with all this. And I'm like surprised every time you comment on these videos. I'm surprised that you're still watching, and like not only watching, but watching to the end. So I appreciate it. And one of the options that I had was, what if we create a scheduling function in the app? So we have like basically the way that you'd have a work schedule, or if you're booking an appointment with like to get massage or something, you might get a schedule that shows up with slots that you can book. And what if we did that, but for the users, so that if I've matched with someone, then we can both select times when we're available. So I might set that, well, between 6 and 7 p.m. on Tuesday, I'm going to be available for a call. And then my matches can book that time with me. That is one way to do it. The only thing is, I feel like that's very formal. I feel like it's a bit too... We want to make things feel easier. We don't want to... we don't want to make it feel like a chore, if that makes sense. We don't want to maybe connect it too much to work, because that's not ideal. And I do realize that for me personally, I'm the type of person where that system would be great. I would really like that. But I'm a very specific type of person. I don't think most people would like that. Or not most people, but I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't like that. A lot of people that would feel that, where it might be even a backlash, in the sense that if you've booked a time, you might feel like, oh my God, yes, I forgot I have this time. I have to talk to this person. And it feels like you have to do it. And I want to avoid that stuff. And I feel like I could get that feeling as well. But Sam BRD said that, I don't think scheduling calls are bad. I even think it would be even better if the app itself that triggers the call. So I think what he means is that there could be a function in the app where the app basically starts a call randomly. I'm not sure if I fully understand it, if that's what you mean, because I feel like that might be like, what if you're at work and the app just triggers a call might be a little bit difficult. And what he says is that because men will spam call women and women will never answer, and the app will serve as a neutral middleman. So the idea might be that the app then decides, now you're going to talk, instead of the guys or the girls deciding to like just sit and spam call the person as soon as they're online. Good idea, but I'm not sure I'm fully on board with it. I came up with the other solution in last week's video, which is that what if you can choose to be notified when someone is online? So when you've matched with people, you can press that person and then you can just like on, let's say here on this profile page, maybe there's a button to just like a little bell button here that you can press to add a notification, and the app will then notify you when that person is online. And when that person is online next, you get a notification, which means that you can go into the app and call them if they're available. I feel like that's the least intrusive way to do it because it's sort of anonymous. It means that both users don't have to keep track of each other. And it actually means that no user has to keep track of the other. But it also means that if I am really excited to talk to this person, it doesn't have to mean that that person is really excited to talk to me, because I can set a notification for when they're online and then I can try to call them. And if they answer, they answer. That is an option. And then Sam says that, or you could do it like Bumble, where only men or only women can call. So I think both can decide after the first call. Let's say they press like on match and they really like each other or want to continue talking. Okay, so to me, I think the best option is that you could gamify it too, is an option which I've had as an idea, which is that if let's say that you start out by just having a match like this, like you start out with a phone call, and after the phone call, you like or dislike that person, or you do nothing. And if you both like each other and you match, then you end up here in this stage, and this is the next stage of the app. And maybe we have like a progress bar or some sort of like almost like a leveling up sort of system, where the first level is you get maybe you get next time you get a 10-minute phone call, and that's the first like level 1. You have a 10-minute phone call now. So then you try to like match when you're online, or you try to set a notification for when they're online, or maybe we just automatically send notifications to the user when their matches are online. And then once you've had that 10-minute phone call, you unlock the next feature, which might be text messaging, let's say, or maybe you unlock like another picture of the person, or you could have all kinds of things. And this is what I've thought about from the start. Like I think that's a good idea. I also don't know if like this is a really bad idea, where the first thing that's going to happen is you go on the phone call here and straight away just ask, what's your Instagram? And you start following each other and you move off the app straight away. I don't know. I feel like on regular dating apps, when you text back and forth a lot, it's sort of like you're kind of, with texting, I feel like you're sort of building up to either meet in person in real life, or you're building up to talk on the phone in real time. Whereas here, it's like you're already talking in real time. So you might as well go to Instagram to talk if the app doesn't allow you to talk. So I don't know if these ideas that I have of like the progress bar and gamification and like trying to make it more exciting is actually something that people will end up using, or if they will just hack the system by going straight to Instagram, or straight to text messaging, or giving the phone number. Like, it might be that once you've talked to the person and you've had a voice call, at the end of that voice call, you might just be like, hey, what's your number? Can we text? And it might feel a lot safer for both parties because you've heard the voice, you kind of got a feel for what the person is actually like. Whereas on like Tinder, you text back and forth and you can kind of get an idea of what that person is like, but you don't really know. And I feel like the conversation that you can have on the phone in 5 minutes could take 5 days or 5 weeks almost of texting through Tinder. Which means that once you've actually had that initial phone call, will you even want to stay in the app, or will you just move to text and phone call? I don't know. But that's also why I don't know if we even need to implement anything yet. We might only need to implement like a phone calling function here, where you just have a phone symbol and it just says call, and you can just call that person as soon as they're online. That could be an option. Chat feature coming soon. This is the fun thing when using AI to develop things. They're just adding stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested in that thing of like what, because it's very easy for me to sit here and now and like come up with this great strategy that's like super exciting, because I think it is exciting. I think you might agree with the idea of like having a progress bar. I think I have it on the design here too. So wait, let's see, can we zoom in? Yeah. So what I did was, from the start, I was like, oh, well, let's have streaks similar to like Snapchat, where you have a phone calling streak. So we're on a 20-day streak now. We've talked for 20 days straight. And then once you've done that, you reach the next level and you get something. And that's like, you can get lost in that and you get really excited about it. And it's a really good idea. It's just that there's a difference between, well, it's an exciting idea, but it's not a good idea. And there's a difference between something that sounds very exciting and like makes sense to everyone. Like, that makes sense. I think that would make sense to people, but then you have to apply reality. Like, you have to like apply a filter of reality to that. And that's the difficult thing when you're coming up with app ideas in general, is that the idea itself is very exciting and it can be very exciting, but then you have to apply the filter of reality, which is almost impossible to do, which is that, well, how will people actually be using this? Like, will people actually use it? And how will people actually use it? The realism of having a 20-day phone calling streak with someone through this app and not moving over to giving your phone number, not moving over to giving, like going on a real date, and not moving over to showing your Instagram, like that stuff, I don't think that's realistic. It's exciting, but it's not realistic. I don't think people will go through 20 days of phone calling. I think people might do like 2 phone calls within the app, maybe 3, before moving on to sharing their Instagram or sharing their phone number or whatever. Now, that doesn't mean that we could make this work in some way. Like, yeah, I don't know. My idea was to have, let's say that every user uploads like 5 pictures of themselves. And as soon as you match with someone, or as soon as you've finished the first phone call, you see the first picture. But then to unlock the second picture, you have to talk 2 more times, let's say. And then to unlock the third picture, you have to talk 3 more times. And then you have to like, whatever, you have to do things to actually unlock these things. Wait, let's see. I think I have it here. Okay, here. So this is what the idea was. You have this progress bar here that just indicates where you're at and where you're going. Wait, I feel like I had more than that. Yeah, so here. This is what I was thinking. First a phone call, then you get something else, and then you get pictures, and then you get texting. And my idea was maybe you could have like first a phone call, and then you get a video call, and then you get, or first a phone call, then you get pictures, then you get text messaging, and then you get, finally you get like a video call. Or you get maybe that scheduling feature of scheduling phone calls could instead be applied to scheduling dates. Like you could have a dating schedule within this app where you just like, once you've talked for a certain amount of time, you unlock the dating schedule where you can select slots, like where do you want to meet and what do you want to do and for how long. Lots of ideas, but I struggle with the filter of reality of like what will people use and what will people just not use. Because I can definitely see that when you're talking to someone here in the absolute first stage, you might just straight away move over to Instagram. Like you're talking to someone for a couple minutes and you're like, well, you sound great. Do you have Instagram? And then you move over to that. Could be the case. So, yeah, I guess we need to implement a call feature because we need to. Right now, the app is great. It seems like most of the things work, but then the only thing that doesn't work is what happens after you've matched. Nothing. So we need to implement. I don't know if we need to, but I feel like we need to. I feel like we need to implement the notification thing. So notify me when my match is online. And we need to implement the next call feature. So you have to have be allowed to have another call. I think. All right, but that's going to be it for today. I feel like we did good. We have the online status now working. Next step is going to be to get the online status also represent when they're in a phone call. So if I'm in a phone call, then I should also be set to be offline so that other users won't try to call me if I'm already in a phone call. That needs to be done. And then updating the profile picture has to be done. Compress the pictures before we store them has to be done. Yeah, we have a few things that need to be done and probably more that will come up. But yeah, okay, that's I feel like I don't want to quit. I want to keep going, but Claude doesn't really let me. And I think it's good to also not go for too long to maintain energy. All right. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.